So, for hundreds of years, governments and central banks have issued currency, and the currency is used for things to buy things, sell things, and so forth, and to price assets. Now, some people have come along and invented various things called cryptocurrencies. Central banks are trying to adjust to what that means for them. So, do you think that cryptocurrencies are a plus for the global economy, or is it too early to tell?
Cryptos are not currencies, full stop. Cryptos are highly speculative assets that claim their fame as currency, possibly, but they're not. They are not. I think we have to distinguish between cryptos that are those highly speculative, suspicious occasionally, and high intensity in terms of energy consumption assets, but they're not a currency.
Yo, America, planet Earth, what's good? This is your boy Codell, and today we got a pretty dope episode. I'm going to be getting into CBDCs, which stands for Central Bank Digital Currencies, just in case you don't know that. And I'm going to be pointing out some reasons why I'm 100% convinced that they're dangerous. And we, the people, not just here in America, but around the world, need to make sure that we do not give in to a central bank digital currency. That's what a CBDC is. As we all know, we've seen in our lifetimes that, the central banks, they constantly fail. The Federal Reserve, they're the ones that print our money. They have control of our money. They've never been audited. And we see the economic issues that we're dealing with now, the 2008 housing crash, and so on and so on and so on. And if you just go through history, you will see that the central banks have screwed up time and time again. Anyways, yeah, that's what we're going to do today, guys. We're going to get into some good reasons why we need to make sure we do not accept a CBDC, the central bank digital currency. I'm going to show you why it's so dangerous. Check it out. All right, guys, so we're going to get into this article, and this is by the National Telegraph, and it's called Why Central Bank Digital Currencies, CBDCs, Are So Dangerous. And it was written by Daniel Boardman. So check this out. It really brings up some good points, you guys. I think you're going to dig this. All right. There is a new push in Canada as well as other countries under the direction of organizations like the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, and the WEF, World Economic Forum, to implement central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. CBDCs are a digital dollar that'd be fully under the control of central banks and governments. And there are some very obvious dangers of a CBDC system and some not so obvious ones. If Canada were to implement CBDCs, it would eventually put an end to cash transactions, and along with it, the ability to perform any transaction anonymously. Think of a woman inside an abusive marriage. She would have no way to store money to use that her husband would not be able to track in some way. So escaping him would be made exponentially more difficult and more dangerous. And more dangerous than abusive husband is what an abusive government. So basically what this article is saying so far is that through CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, it would have the ability to track everything you do with your central bank digital currency. Every transaction you make, absolutely everything. So it would just be total control of your finances. Because like right now, under our current system, you can stash cash away. You don't have to keep it in a bank. But if it all went digital through central bank digital currencies and they got their way and they eliminated cash, physical cash, they have full control over our finances. It's crazy. So let's keep going. We have already seen the willingness of the Canadian government under Justin Trudeau to seize citizens' bank accounts without a court order or even a criminal charge being laid against them during the Freedom Convoy under the Emergencies Act. It was not just Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland who acted as authoritarian dictators. The major banks provided no pushback to their unlawful asset seizures. instituting a system, where these very same people can monitor all your purchases and take all your life savings with the click of a button is fundamentally insane. Obviously agree. A lot of the dangers of the central bank digital currency is linked to its sister technology, the environmental, social, and governance criteria score, ESG. So check this out. This is pretty creepy. ESG is a way to measure a company's compliance with the ethical standards set out by governments, central banks, and global NGOs. This brings up the obvious philosophical problem of who gets to set the ethical standards and if they have possible ulterior motives. For now, ESG seems to be a metric measuring people's adherence to mainstream left-wing political ideology. So, look, I'm not here to pick sides, left, right. That's just what the article says. But more important, the actual important thing, the information in this is, again, it's pointing out the fact through CBDCs, it's going to centralize our financial system even more. Because, like, if you don't know this, the Federal Reserve, they're an independent entity. And we have never, they've never been audited. We've never audited the Federal Reserve. And think about all the financial crisis just in our lifetimes that we've seen. I mean, back in 2008, the housing crisis, what's going on right now with all the supply chains being shut down, the COVID madness, all that type of stuff. I mean, you know, part of this is mainly, if you look into it, it's been pushed heavily by the banks and obviously the pharmaceutical industries, but that's a whole nother subject. So again, what they're trying to do with ESG is it gives them an excuse to centralize their power even more, consolidate their power. And basically it gives, if they're successful in implementing ESG, then they can basically go to any company or any individual and be like, well, we disagree with you doing this. We think it's unethical. So we're going to basically not allow you to use your finances in the way that you see fit because it does not go along with our ethical standards. So yeah, CBDCs, ESG, very dangerous stuff, guys. We don't need an environmental social governance and we don't need a central bank digital currency. Now check this out. The World Economic Forum, they tweeted out the following: new tech is fueling the rapid development of new forms of money. Leaders must help develop and regulate them effectively in order for people to harness their benefits safely and securely. You can read the new report series on digital currencies here. So if you want to read the paper, you go on their Twitter page and it is up there. But that particular tweet was tweeted all the way back in November 19th of 2021. So it is older. You definitely have to do some scrolling. Anyways, let's keep going. A great way to think of this new system is by comparing Canada and China. In China, they have a digital yuan tied to a social credit system. In Canada, it could very well be a CBDC tied to your ESG score. In a CBDC system, the government and banks could easily manipulate your purchase if Canada implements this new system to be able to track your purchases at the grocery store. For an example of how this could play out, if there is a big environmental scare around red meat, while they might not prevent you from buying what you want, it is not that hard for them to set a soft cap on beef. So if the government decided that your consumption of red meat should be 2 pounds a week, maybe you could buy more, but each additional 1 pound would be additionally taxed at a certain rate to make meat harder to afford for the average person. And then the article goes on to say, of course, the upper middle class, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so again, it's CBDCs along with ESG. It's a way for the government and these NGOs and the central banks to consolidate their power on our financial freedom. And folks, that's slavery. Like, our central banking system already as it stands is a form of financial slavery. So it's not, remember, our money is not backed by anything. It's not backed by gold. It's not backed by anything solid. It is a fiat petrodollar. So it's not very good. Let's see. Then the article goes on to say, recently there has been a shift in Canadian politics led by Conservative Party leadership candidate Pierre Polivera in a fight against the inflation, central bank money printing, and CBDCs. Polivera said he would seek to ban CBDCs and has championed the freedom for people and businesses who want to use Bitcoin. The National Telegraph tweeted out, and this is a little older, April 16, 2022. Pierre Polivera says he's absolutely against central bank digital currencies. So that's good, you guys. Like, we need to, no matter what country you're in, we need to start backing and supporting politicians that will actually look to get us off the central banking system in general. We need to DeFi the whole financial system, decentralize the whole financial system. It's the only way forward, and we need to back our currency by gold and other commodities. It could be oil, it could be food production, all sorts of stuff. Anyways, Bitcoin as a currency functions as an anti-CBDC in a lot of ways, where CBDCs are completely controlled by a central authority. Bitcoin is 100% decentralized. No one can mess with the system. So yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of this article, you guys, but I think the point's pretty clear. CBDCs, man, they're just absolutely dangerous. Again, through central bank digital currencies, it's a way for the Federal Reserve, the international business, the BIS, Business of International Settlement, and IMF, International Monetary Fund, all these central banks. It's a way for them to consolidate their power of not just our finances, but over all our governments. Like, it's basically like some one world government garbage. But yeah, so let's keep it moving along. But before we do, guys, if you like what I'm doing, please make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, hit that little notification bell, all that good stuff, and punch that Rumble. Follow me on Rumble, guys. Follow me on Getter. Follow me on True Social. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me wherever you can find me. All right, we're moving along, you guys. We're moving along. Now, check this out. So I downloaded a document straight from the Federal Reserve. And this is a paper they wrote discussing, it's called Retail CBDC and U.S. Monetary Policy Implementation, a Stylized Balance Sheet Analysis. And it was written by Matthew Malloy, Francis Martinez, Mary Frances Stasinski, and Alex Thorpe. So check this out, guys. All right, I'm just going to go over some of the parts I highlighted, because again, I think what I highlighted in here does a good job of basically revealing the central bank's true motives, and in a way they tell you what they're actually trying to do, but they're telling you what they're trying to do in a quiet way. So check it out. All right. This part I highlighted right here. It says demand for a retail CBDC will likely depend on several factors, including whether it is widely accessible, how transferable or substitutable it will be with other retail payment platforms, whether there are limits on the size of holdings, what degree of privacy it provides, and whether it is remunerated. Now, I'm going to just throw this out there because when I first came across the word remunerated, honestly, I had no idea what it meant. So I'm like, all right, let me look that up. And what remunerated means is to pay a person a suitable equivalent in return for goods provided, services rendered, or losses incurred. Recompense. 2, to compensate for. 4, make payment for. 3, to pay an equivalent to any 2, for any service loss, expense, or other sacrifice to recompense, to requite. So yeah, that is what remunerate means. All right. Anyways, we're getting back to what I had highlighted. All right, where are you at? There we go. All right, so I'm gonna scroll down a little more. Let's see, I got some more highlighted right here, guys. I figured this is pretty important as well. Wait a minute. Let's see. Oh yeah, not quite. I got to go through this. Okay, so also I highlighted this right here. A thorough exploration of these drivers could require require weighing pros and cons of alternative technologies used in implementing a retail CBDC. We leave this discussion to future research. In this working paper, we explore implications for monetary policy implementation from a scenario where demand for retail CBDC is high, but high demand we mean there is widespread adoption of retail CBDC by U.S. individuals and small businesses as a means of payment and as a store of value. Such strong retail CBDC demand could manifest itself as a conversion of physical Federal Reserve notes or deposits at banks or potentially money funds or U.S. Treasury bills into retail CBDCs, okay? So this last part, you guys, where they're talking about such strong retail CBDC demand could manifest itself as a conversion of physical Federal Reserve notes or deposits at banks, potentially money funds or U.S. Treasury bills into retail CBDC. Again, that's really dangerous, guys, because if they can turn the CBDC into a retail CBDC, what that means is, so we already have all these big banks like U.S. Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, so on and so on, right? Well, as big as they are, the Federal Reserve, they do all the money printing for all these banks, okay? So they're providing the Federal Reserve notes, the fiat, to all these banks. Well, if the Federal Reserve is able to create a retail CBDC, this is where it gets scary, and again, it's about centralizing power more. Then there'll be no need for for any of these big banks like U.S. Bank, Bank of America. Like the Federal Reserve will have 100% control over our currency if they release a retail CBDC and we choose to adopt it. So again, it's dangerous. It's centralized. I'm going to repeat it. We've seen what they've done over the years. The 2008 housing crisis. What's been going on the last couple of years with COVID and the supply chain and everything else, and that just, we see what's going on. We see inflation. Like, look at this, you guys. Okay, this is crazy, all right? Like, I put this up. Where's it at? Let's see. Here's the debt clock. It's absolutely insane. Look at our U.S. national debt. U.S. national debt. Oh, hold up. Let me let that, there's a fire truck or something going by. Just 1 second. Let me let that pass. Oh, okay. There we go. It's done. U.S. national debt. Look at that. 30,587,000,000, or 30 trillion, excuse me, with a T. 30,587,809,000,000 and counting. See those numbers just flying up is U.S. national debt. Like, that's crazy. And then debt per citizen, look at that. $91,782 in debt per citizen. Debt per taxpayer, even crazier, $242,986. So that's crazy. So all the little kids, they're not even taxpayers. Look, that's their debt. This is what our Federal Reserve, our central banking system, and all these greedy politicians, all these corrupt politicians, all these blackmail politicians, this is what they have done to we the people, not just here in America, but all over the world. But it's also our fault because we have been asleep at the wheel for way too long. But I think this U.S. debt clock, and this is official, usdebtclock.org, I guess .gov, but look, come on now. It's time to wake up. It's time to audit the Federal Reserve. It's time to get off a centralized banking system, and it's time to go full decentralized open source blockchain tech for our financial system. And that means having a complete open source transparent record, a complete transparent financial record of every transaction done by our government and our central banking system. And we see that, we'll get rid of the central banks along with a lot of these politicians. Anyways, Yeah, so dangerous stuff, you guys. Dangerous stuff again. All right, let's get. I got a few more things to read, a few more spots I highlighted. So check this out. All right, so right here. Demand for a retail CBDC could be driven by factors such as its convenience to consumers and acceptance by retail merchants as a medium of exchange, usage by the public sector to disperse payments or transfers more easily, or availability as an alternative safe haven asset, says Business of International Settlement 2021. Okay, so again, like what they're hoping when they say this is that they'll make the system seem so convenient, CBDCs, that us consumers will just get on board. We'll just go right along with their central bank digital currencies that, again, all our transactions will be tracked 100% of the time. We won't be able to privately stash cash away. And again, earlier, what I read to you, they're talking like they're open to potentially putting limits on how much CBDC, central bank digital currency, you can hold on to and accumulate at a time. They're basically telling you, hey, we tell you how much money you can or cannot have. That's absolutely tyrannical. Okay? Now, I think I maybe got one or two more things highlighted. Let me check, or that might actually be it. Just a second, guys. Let's see. Is that actually it? Let me scroll back up. Maybe I missed something, but I think that might be it. One second. I'm going to scroll back up real quick just because I feel like maybe, but I think I got it all. Let's see. Where are we at? Yeah, no, that's it, you guys. So, long story short, you guys, I hope I got the message across good. I hope I communicated my message well, excuse me. We need to not accept central bank digital currencies. This, through blockchain, decentralized open source blockchain, we have the greatest weapon we have ever had in human existence to be able to once and for all detach ourselves from these central bankers and put them where they belong, and that is in the dust bins of history. We have a chance to create actual stable money. And what I believe we need to do is we need to combine, again, open source blockchain technology that is 100% transparent and creates an immutable record of the transactions. And we need to make sure our currency is backed by things like gold, silver, can be other commodities as well. You know, it could be the food we grow, energy like oil, gas, all that type of stuff. There is so much stuff that we can put together and, you know, make that we don't need the central banks anymore. And, you know, another beautiful thing about this, think about it like this. If we get rid of the central banks and we really build this blockchain, this open source blockchain, decentralized DeFi system, that means that our financial transactions will become peer-to-peer. So if I send you money, I'm sending you directly money. I'm sending you the money directly, excuse me. It won't have to go through a middleman. So there won't be someone there to take like a large piece of the pie and charge us some ridiculous fee, you know? So we really have a chance to build a beautiful future, not just for ourselves, but our children, our children's children, and their children, and so on and so on. Anyways, you guys, again, if you like what I'm doing, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, hit that little notification bell, punch that rumble, follow me on Getter, follow me on True Social, follow me on Twitter, follow me everywhere you find me. And I will have a merch store coming soon. But that said, that's going to be it for today's episode. You guys, I hope you got some useful information out of this. And until next time, remember, God loves you, you are valued, and you can do great things. I'm Codell. And stay safe. Until next time, peace.